If you clicked on this, you might be wondering how you can massively increase the value of any app that you're already using, like Slack or Gmail, using the power of AI. Well, that's exactly what Aura claims to be able to do. It transcribes your voice command and puts it into any other app that you might be using, so that you can draft emails, write Slack messages, even import designs from Figma and then build them in code just using your voice to tell it what to do. Now, it isn't fully agentic, so it can't go and do these tasks for you, but what it can do is it allows you to talk to your existing applications in natural language as if they were an employee. If you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design, and I believe the next wave of incredible businesses is going to be built off the back of these AI tools. And so with that said, let's get into Aura and see what it can do.
Build great products. Build great products.
So this is the website for Aura, which is a new product from Meng To and the Design Code team. So Design Code is a platform which teaches designers how to code, now using AI in their courses for like a monthly subscription. This is the Design Code website. So this is targeted mainly at designers. This product, Aura, they've been posting a lot about on social recently. It's a little bit unclear in its proposition on the website, and I was struggling from their social posts to understand what this can actually do and how to use it. So I do think they need to be clearer about what the proposition is and how you actually use it. It's kind of clear in the top here. It's like voice to chat for creatives, designers, but what does voice to chat actually mean? Is it just like the voice feature in ChatGPT? Or is it like, I think what they mean more, and it kind of clarifies it a little bit more here, speak to cursor, Slack, email, chat with AI models, generate designs, code, and share. So these are all speak to cursor, Slack, and email makes sense. Like I can speak into my microphone and use an app, I guess. So what I want to try today is like downloading Aura, using it, speaking into the microphone, asking it questions, maybe trying to send an email in Gmail, or trying to draft an article in Medium, for example, or trying to generate code output in Lovable or Cursor and generate designs as code. So let's see, because that kind of designer target customer is there from like the Design Code part of their business, I would assume that this is targeted for the same type of customer, the same type of user, but I may be wrong here. So if I go through quickly through the website, I think again, like this is like, it's giving you a lot of like features that it can do. But one thing to kind of take away from this, if you are building your own product or service and you're creating a website for that, is you want to be really clear about the use cases. What they're missing here is like, what is a use case that's actually going to get me results? Like I can understand here, great, code mode and design. So like, am I doing that in Aura or do I have to use a different application? What's the actual application of this? Is it just me talking to like ChatGPT and getting an image back? Like maybe let's translate this into something that's more realistic. So it's like, speak your MVP into life using Cursor, or like something like that, where like, okay, I know I'm getting and I know how to get it. Whereas this is really just kind of telling me features of the product. So they could definitely improve that here. There's a bunch more stuff on the page. Feel free to have a look at the page yourself. It's aurachat.io. You've got all of your large language models. This is made by Aura, so you do get an idea of like things that people have created with Aura. They're all looking like pretty similar. This one actually looks like really similar to the website that I created with Lovable on my other video for my $10,000 website in 44 minutes video, which is quite funny. I guess it's just a very familiar like style that everyone is doing, and it's free. Like a lot of these AI platforms are to start off using it. I think that's really key. If you're building an AI product, you've got to give some sort of free plan, where either it's a free trial or it's free plan for a certain number of messages, because it's so difficult to understand and it's so difficult to communicate like what is the actual use case for this product on the website or like in the product itself. And I'm hoping when I get into Aura, it's going to explain the onboarding and the features a little bit better to me as I go, like have like a get started kind of flow, which tells me like what I'm doing and how to do it. that would be super useful. But if you're building an AI product, you've got to have some sort of free tier so that people can use it before they actually choose to buy, because it's so hard to like understand what these tools actually do sometimes. So with that said, let's jump into Aura, see what we can do, see if we can talk to apps and kind of make them our employees, as if I was like telling someone to go and write or draft an email for me, or asking someone to go and create a set of images for me. This would be great as well if I can like talk into something like Abacus or Manus to kind of create an agentic workflow that will go off and do something off the back of a request that I'm just kind of asking it in natural language. So let's see what it can do. Quick break in the episode to talk about my community for product builders who actually want to make a profit from what they're building. If you're building a product, whether that be a SaaS tool, a web app, an iOS app, or an Android app, and you actually want to make a profit, then this is the community for you. It's called the Product to Profit Academy. I'll be sharing courses, tutorials, tips, and all of my frameworks that I've learned over the last 15 years of working with startups and advising startups on product and design in my Product to Profit blueprint, so that you can benefit from everything that I've learned when you're building your product. So if you're building something and you actually want to make a profit from it, head over to buildgreatproducts.com/profit to sign up to the waitlist. We're launching soon. So this is Aura. So we're in the product now, and what I'm guessing here is like, my first impression was like, okay, great, what do I do now? It's kind of an open like chat interface, like you would be familiar with like a ChatGPT, or they're all kind of using that same kind of style where you're just chatting back and forth. The weird thing is like this is a chat interface, whereas like it's not focused on the voice interaction. And so I'm presented with this familiar interface of like chatting back and forth with an AI model, but actually where is my kind of like voice thing and how do I do it? So I've got these few recent chats at the top here, which I think they're kind of using these recent chats as a bit of an onboarding flow. What would be great to have here is just like a few steps, or even like an intro kind of carousel or pop-up, or like something that's going to like guide me through like, how do I use Aura? How do I get the most out of it? Even to like ask me what my use case is and then show me how to do that. A really, really good way of activating users, first-time users of your product, is to cater specifically to their use case. So ask them, what are you trying to do? There's probably going to be about 2 or 3 use cases that the majority of people are going to do, and then you can kind of have an other option. You might not know what those are going to be when you start out because you don't have a lot of people using the product, but you can kind of guess. You might have a sense of what that's going to be, and so ask the user what they're doing, and then even just give them a set of instructions to start off with in an MVP of like, oh, here's how you do this. You go, so I might say here, when I first come into the product, if it had a get started flow, I might say, I'm looking to draft emails using voice. And it might say, great, here's what you do. You go to Gmail, you press this button to use your voice. It will create a draft for you. It will save them in this folder that it's created for you. You can go in and review that. It will then send you a notification to update you when those drafts are written. That's kind of like where this idea of like turning an app into an employee for you really kind of starts to become something that's valuable. So I would love to see that kind of get started flow here. We're going to go through these and let's see what it says. So Aura is free with your API keys. I don't know if that's the first thing that I want to see, like something about API keys. I might not even know what an API key is. This is kind of just a bit confusing for me. Custom app prompts, voice to any language style. That's a weird sentence. Add custom instructions. I don't really want to add custom instructions. I just want to kind of play around with it first. I think the real key to like first time users for AI products especially is letting them play, letting them test the product, and letting them figure out how it's going to provide value to them, rather than getting like really into the details and the weeds of how to do like all these really custom things. Like at a base level, I really just want to like create drafts for my emails, or like talk to Cursor and let it write code for me instead of me having to type it out. Like that would be some really like simple, clear use cases to use this for. Okay, I've got sample smart examples, transcribe everything I say to French, write in a professional tone, remove fillers. So that's kind of good, where it's giving me like ideas of what I can say to Aura to kind of help me come up with some usable output that's going to be valuable. Voice to external app, transcribe directly to any app, use your favorite apps, hold the function key and speak. Amazing. This is kind of like what I was looking for here. This is what I was interested in from the proposition on the website, where it's like talk to Cursor, talk to Slack, all of that sort of stuff. I want to be able to do that. So this feels like the direction that we should be taking people in primarily, like help them do that first task. Jump into Gmail, press function, tell it to write a draft. We've got some value out of the app already. That is a really important thing if you're building a product, if you're building an app. The time to value for the user getting into your product is really key to activating them. And if you don't know what activating a user is inside of a product or an app, it means kind of changing them from someone who's just intrigued to someone who's actively using the product on a regular basis. And it starts that process of building a habit. So by reducing the amount of time that it takes a user to get to creating something valuable for them, we're increasing the likelihood of them being an activated user and customer in the product. So we really want to try and do that here, is reduce that time by identifying with the use case, helping them get some value out of it straight away, and then keeping them doing that same thing over and over again, and slowly introducing other features to them over time. Chat 1. How can I help you today? Premium models. I already clicked this. I will admit that, like, to try and change the model up here, but you get like all the different LLM models that you can talk to, and some of them are like via pro like plans. Basically, like all of the Anthropic and Gemini 2.5 are on pro plans. So great, like we've got access to some of this stuff for free, and there is like a pro version of this that we're going to be prompted to upgrade to later. I will say that one really, really good thing to do that wasn't done here, is that there should be a paywall after you sign up for a product before you even get into using it. Sometimes I've worked on apps and products in the past where up to 50% of the people who subscribe and pay for a plan actually come from that paywall before getting into the product. Even if there's a free tier option, people will sometimes just sign up straight away from seeing something on social or seeing some content to becoming a paid customer, because they think, I'm definitely going to use this and I want to pay for it right now, otherwise I'm going to forget to do it later. So definitely recommend here like that Aura adds a paywall into the sign-up flow before getting into the app to incentivize people to pay before they even use the product. That's going to add to the number of people that are paying for this. So let's have a look at some other stuff we've got here. We've got settings down here. We've got like this kind of section down the bottom here is like a bit out of the way, and you would kind of the expected pattern for like content that's maybe in this sort of UI, like down here, would be that this is going to be like your admin stuff, your settings, and so but there's some really useful stuff here, which is what's interesting. And I think some of this stuff could be pulled out into like a get started or an onboarding flow. So you've got transcriptions, which is like where stuff that you've transcribed is saved. That's okay. But this one is super interesting. So this one is actually super useful. It's giving you examples of prompts that you can do in Aura to get you usable output that's going to be valuable. And that is something that we want to highlight more. It's kind of hidden down here in app prompts. If you had a get started flow here that was a bit more like, what do you want to do? Here's how you use Aura. And here's a prompt to do the thing that you're trying to do. Now go and do it. And it's from these kind of app prompts, and it's based on the use case that you're selecting. That would like help activate people so much quicker than what we've got here at the moment. There's also this add prompt button at the top here, which you can kind of create your own prompt. Again, like one thing that I've seen, which is pretty common across a lot of AI tools that kind of do this kind of voice interaction. So VoicePal was similar, which is from Ali Abdal's team, is that you can create these custom prompts, but they're really like vague about what you should be writing in here or how this can be used. And so I think you have to have like this level of detailed kind of complex knowledge when you're adding this stuff before you even engage with this. So like add an app prompt is kind of quite useful because it tells me how I'm going to be engaging with like separate apps with my voice. But I might the journey here might be to like get the user to value quickly with an app, and then once they've engaged with that app, to help them turn that into a custom prompt by saying like, oh, you engaged in the app in that way with your voice. Why don't we create a custom prompt so that you can do that over and over again without having to say it every time, or without having to just do the same thing every time. We're trying to cut down on people's repeatable, boring tasks with a lot of these AI tools. And so let's help them do that by putting it into a journey with features that's going to get value for them through something that they want to accomplish. We've also got dictionary here as well. I'm not sure. That's like terminology that you can use over and over again, I think. You've got your models, so you can see what models you're using primarily. You've got your shortcuts, which basically tells you that. This graphic is really nice, the hold function key to talk. I would love to have that on like the first screen when I land in the app as part of that, or like in that get started flow, is to have like this graphic here. It's so visual, and the kind of thing next to it as well literally tells you how it works. This is what's happening. This is super useful, and it's hidden in the shortcuts section. Let's make it part of the onboarding flow. And you've got login here as well, which I actually thought I was already logged in, but maybe I'm not. So I'm going to create an account here and then get started. There we go, I've created my account on the free plan. Let's see how this works. So let's try interacting with another app. Actually, let's just do a first test here where we engage with the chat using voice. So I'm imagining that I can speak click this voice to text button here, which I would make a lot like, surely the voice icon here, similar to VoicePal, the voice icon here is what we want to focus on. That's the primary USP of this product. Maybe we want to put voice as the primary button here instead of message, and like help me record the message and then have it automatically send, or like put it in here after and then change that button to send, or like at least highlight this a little bit more. You've also got import Figma design here, which I think is super interesting. So this is where this ties into this use case of like, the customer of design code is a designer who wants to build products. This tool, one of its unique selling points is that it helps designers build products, but that's really hidden below all of these other features. And so I think one thing that might be super, super beneficial with Aura is just to refocus on like one really, really specific use case and make it so good at that it just gains so much traction and attention from what it can do there. And that might be like importing a Figma design and building a product out of that using like an AI coding tool, because that aligns really, really clearly with their business model for design code. They have a ton of people already, a ton of audience already over there that they can move over to this product, focusing on that one kind of key killer feature for an MVP of a product, which this essentially is because it's a new product that's been launched, is super important to getting that initial traction and growth. And I think here, because it's so mixed around all these different features, it's losing that opportunity to grow and gain traction. So let's try and do something here where I'm gonna ask it to outline a LinkedIn post for me with a few based on a topic with a key point and in a specific format, and see if it can do that for me just through me talking. I'd like to create a LinkedIn post that is about so one thing that I've got here is that I want to show you just here is that it says recording, but the animation, I actually thought this wasn't recording at first. The animation here is so subtle on this recording that it's hard to tell if it's actually recording or not. So that really you need to like make that more visually like engaging, so that that's moving a lot more, so that I can more clearly see that this is actually recording me speaking. Let's cancel this and I'll do the actual recording again. I'd like to draft a LinkedIn post about entering a new era of personal software and comparing it to the era of personal computing that we entered in the 1950s and 1960s. I want to start the LinkedIn post with a curiosity one-liner, just to be intriguing enough that people stop scrolling. And I want to follow that up with a one-liner that suggests that there's more information or that the person should click show more to continue reading the post. And then once they open the post, the point that I want to make in this post is going to be that we should prepare to enter the era of personal software by thinking about how we can turn our own businesses and our own skills into a piece of software that can do that repeatably for customers and then monetize it. So now we've got my transcription here, and I'm just going to send this message and see what it comes back with. So this is good. Okay, so we've got like, ever wondered what the next personal computer revolution looks like? Here's why your skills or business could become someone's most valuable app. I like it. It's good. This is the format that I want to do specifically for LinkedIn. So now, like, I've got this, what would be really good is like, it might be good here to suggest as part of Aura, maybe like, I don't know if Aura is interjecting into these conversations here, or this could be done in Aura in some way. I would love to have, like, if you're doing this multiple times, would you like to turn this into a prompt, a custom prompt that you can build into Aura to format your LinkedIn post in this way? Like, somehow recognize what I'm doing here as a repeatable task and then help me to do that again. Actually, like, speaking the idea into Aura was maybe easier to do than typing it out, and quicker as well, definitely, than typing like this whole thing out. So I love the idea of this voice to text thing, and I think like I didn't quite get the value of voice to text or voice to prompt until I'm actually starting to do it now and seeing how quick that is. And I think that's true with a lot of these AI tools, which is why it's so important to actually let users try it first, is because sometimes you don't get how valuable it is until you actually do the thing that that it's telling you that it can do. So let's jump over to a different app now and see if we can do something in that app using Aura. So I'm now over in Gmail here. I've just put this onto my starred folder and removed everything so that you can't see all of my emails for my business email address. And what I'm going to do here is I want to, so I know that 99 plus is going to be giving some people anxiety, so sorry about that. What I want to try and do here is I want to try and draft an email using Aura and see if that works directly in Gmail. So I'd like to draft an email in Gmail following up on a proposal I sent for a design subscription service that I run called Telescope, just saying, hope you're doing all right, hope you got the proposal okay, and would love to chat or answer any other questions if you have any, written in a professional tone, and add any other details that might make it come across more friendly. Thanks. So when I recorded that, I got, sorry I couldn't hear any speech, please try again. And then when I recorded it again, I did actually get the message that I said, and it was populated in Aura. So I don't know how that exactly works. I guess like it might not go directly back into the app. What I am wondering is like, is this just going to be provided in this interface? And how does it actually work? Can it actually do it in an app? So I'm going to try something different here because maybe it's not working in Chrome with Gmail. I'm going to try going into Cursor and asking it to do something in Cursor. So one thing I want to highlight here before I go into Cursor and actually try and build something using Aura is that I did sign up for the Pro plan in Aura once I got to my message limit, which was pretty much after I tried creating that draft in Gmail. And so I don't think that on the free version of this, unless Aura is really guiding you down that specific use case and helping you to create something valuable, I don't think you're getting enough usage of this product before you have to choose whether to pay or not pay. Now, it might be that those constraints are kind of kept in check on Aura's side because they want to keep the number of kind of free AI requests that they're handling to a minimum to make sure that their profitability is still reasonable. But I would say that at the moment, like, you're not getting enough usage of this product before choosing to pay or not. And that's one thing that you want to make sure if you're building your own product or app here, that the user is at least getting one thing valuable out of that free usage before you're then asking them to pay, because then they can actually see the value in using the product and make sure that it's going to be right for them and to help them actually get something out of it. So let's go into Cursor here. I haven't got anything built or like any projects open in Cursor. I'm just going to basically try and talk to Aura and get it to put it into Cursor. Like, I feel like that's something that it should be able to do based on the website and what I've read up about it. So let's see if it can do it. So before we try and use Aura to build a UI component in this project, I've just created a directory that I've opened in Cursor called Currency Converter. I'm just going to try and create like a simple Currency Converter UI component. I'm pretty noob when it comes to Cursor. I haven't used it too much. I've been more using Lovable and Bolt and that sort of stuff. But let's see how this goes. If we can just get a message from Aura into Cursor, that will be like a great starting point. I'd like to create a currency converter component in this project, which allows the user to select different currencies and add in how much in the original currency they want to convert, give them a rate for that currency conversion. Then when the user clicks submit, give them an up-to-date rate, allow them to accept that rate, and then ask them the account that they're converting the money from and the account that they're sending the money to. Amazing. So I've spoken the prompt into Aura and it's come into Cursor here just straight off the bat. So I can now talk to Cursor, which is amazing. So for any apps that don't have this like native functionality of being able to talk to it, Aura, that's a great use case for Aura. Now I can just chat straight to Cursor instead of having to record my voice somewhere else and then transfer that recording like from a voice note on my phone over to Cursor, or format it some other way and then put it into Cursor. I also want to add in here just the UI library. So I'm going to see if I do another message here, if it's going to add it onto the message that I've put into Cursor already, or if it's going to replace the whole thing. Perfect. Okay, let's send this to Cursor and see what happens. Okay, so from that one recorded prompt that we put into Cursor, we now have a local environment with this component that we can now look at that's using the shadcn UI library. So let's jump into a browser and see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see here it's pretty crap. Like, maybe this is to do with my knowledge of Cursor. It hasn't really used shadcn at all. We might need to go back and forth and do like some amends to it. Well, I mean, we definitely have to. But the fact is, what we're testing today is that you can chat using Aura and it will put that text into another app that you're using so that you don't have to write all these commands out. You can just talk to them. I want to do one more test here with Aura just to see how does it import Figma designs and what that journey looks like, since that seems to be a key proposition of the app and a key use case that a lot of people are going to want to know about. So let's jump back into Aura and see how it handles Figma. So we're back in Aura. I've started a new chat here. I've got a Figma design that I want to try and build as a live website. I'm going to assume that that's maybe a use case that it can handle here, or at least like building these components out in actual code. Since this is from design code, we're talking about going from design to code. A lot of their audience want to take design and make it into actual code. So I'm assuming that's kind of what the Figma button helps with. Again, like those use cases up front would be really useful for me to say like, I want to turn my Figma designs into code. And then it will go, great, use this button here, put your link in, and then you've got your code. So let me show you, this is my Figma design. Basically just a really basic kind of landing page for like an AI web design service that I just put together as a test for building websites in Lovable and for another video. So we're gonna copy the link of this frame and go back into Aura and see if I click this import Figma button. It says Figma URL, select any frame, copy the link. Do not use Command and L since that will copy the entire Figma file. Figma design is too large, 1 megabyte. Make sure to use copy link to selection instead of Command and L. Okay. I don't know how to make that less large. Maybe I should do, what I'm going to try and do here is just do an individual component and try and build the individual component instead. So maybe like a full website is too big. I think again here, like I'm really unclear about what the use case is for like turning this into code or importing from Figma. If I've designed something in Figma and I can't import it, then why is that? Like if I want to do a website, I might, like how can I actually do that? Can I not do that? Let's try again with something else. So I've just copied a link to a frame here instead, which has just a really simple basic card component. I want to see like what this does when I import. Okay, so that's just added this Designerify projects attachment here. It would be great if this icon was a Figma icon, just so that I could, if I have multiple attachments on my chat, I can see, is this which file is which? Is that a Figma file? Is that a document? It kind of looks just like a document at the moment, so that's definitely something that can be improved there. What do I do next? That's the question that I have now. So I've imported my Figma. Let's say like build this card. Again, I'm being tricked by the message here. Let's do the voice command instead. Okay, interestingly, I can't press function to record my voice when I'm in Aura, which seems like that doesn't make much sense. I'm kind of not sure why that's not working. I'd like to convert this Figma design into code that I can view in my browser. Let's see how that works. Okay, there we go, great. So now I can, if I view this full screen, it's going to give me a web preview of this card. Amazing. I've got all the code for the card here on the left. So, and then what it looks like at different breakpoints, so that it doesn't matter just because it's one card. So I can see maybe a use case here where I'm like converting a component that I've designed in Figma into code that the developers can then take and like use that to build something. Or if I'm building something myself, I can kind of just directly drop this code straight into whatever AI coding tool that I'm using. So I could put this into Cursor, I could put this into Lovable, I can put this into Bolt as a designer to kind of continue prototyping and build my products. Maybe this is a good way of kind of going from Figma into code that looks correct. And although the icon isn't 100% correct here, they haven't got that. Maybe I need to like attach the icon as SVG to use here as well. And then put this into like, but there's no reason why you couldn't link to the Figma in Bolt, or use an image, screenshot that and ask like another AI coding tool to build that for you. This maybe gets like closer to the component, but I still think there's like some gaps in this workflow that don't quite make sense. And I think with a lot of these AI tools, we're still kind of figuring out the best workflows and how this is going to work. And so although this has done an all right job, I'm still like struggling to make that connection between like, how do I use this in my actual design and product building like workflow? And what tools can this now connect to? How can Aura maybe help guide me through those steps of like making this useful? They've got a load of guides on their website of like how to prompt, how to use Aura. But I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's so many different use cases for this that it's almost like too overwhelming. There's too many options here. I maybe just need a tool that does like one of these things really, really well, or like really customize that experience to the use case at the beginning. All right, so I'm going to finish up with Aura now, and let's get into the final thoughts and insights that we can take away from this product. So that was my teardown of Aura. I think it's a really useful application in very specific use cases, but again, so commonly in these AI tools, it's doing so many things that all of them get slightly wrong, which is it's not allowing me to get into a use case that's going to help me super, super quickly, and it's not getting me to something valuable as quickly as it could to activate me as a repeat user, as someone who's going to use that product again and again and again. So with that said, let's get into 3 insights that you can take away from Aura to improve the products that you're building and make them even better. Insight number 1 is align your product to a use case that makes sense for someone, and don't talk in terms of features, talk in terms of the results and the output that that user is going to get from using that product. Help them do it during the onboarding and sign up process. Ask them, what are you trying to do today? And then guide them through the steps to creating that value. That is going to make your product so much more valuable just immediately to users, instead of having them kind of try and figure out all these different complicated things that you're trying to let them do. Insight number 2 is really just focus on one clear use case when you're launching a product. You don't want to have this product that's trying to cater to all these different possible things that you can do. You really want to start narrow. Let's help people achieve this one clear use case. Even if the functionality is there to be able to do all these different things, that route into your initial customer is by focusing and delivering focusing on that one clear use case and getting attention and traction around that. So really focus on that and make that a key part of your launch strategy and initial product. And finally, insight number 3 is to get your users to value as quickly as possible. The quicker that you can get a user to getting something valuable out of your product, the more likely they are to be activated, the more likely they are to return to use your product again, and the more likely they are to become a paying customer of your product. So that's my 3 key insights. Should you use Aura? Go and check it out for yourself, see if it's going to be helpful for your workflow. I think for me, I'm going to still continue to test it in a bunch of different applications. I don't think I'm going to use it to kind of import Figma and kind of build that in code yet. I have some other workflows around Lovable and Bolt and Cursor that actually work a little bit better for me, but I might build it into my workflow for drafting social content and using voice to use other applications like Gmail and Slack, and even turning voice commands into prompts for Cursor as part of my other workflows. But the Figma piece just doesn't really feel like it's connecting for me yet. If you liked the video, then like this and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, you can sign up to my newsletter over at buildgreatproducts.com for a new product teardown every single week. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
Build great products. Build great products.